Start recording, and we will start in child's pose today. So bringing your toes to touch, knees to mat with distance, walk the hands out in front of you, and bring your forehead down to the mat. And just take a second here. You can start to tune in with your mind and with your breath a little bit more. Start to observe where you're starting at today. If your body's feeling pretty good or if it's a little tighter or sore, remembering you can always modify anything within your practice that you need. Once you observe where your body's starting at, start to notice your breath. Whether it's deep, whether it's shallow, where it's moving in the body. With each exhale, allow yourself to let go of one distraction, one extra thought, so that after a few rounds of breath, your mind is pretty clear. Start to deepen your breath a little bit more, letting your inhales and exhales extend and letting them move not only into the ribs, but the side of the body, the back of the body, the belly. Just take about 5 more rounds of breath right here. Gently start to tiptoe your fingers towards the right side. So your legs stay in child's pose, but you're just finding a little side bend here. You can stack your left hand on top of the right hand if you want. Try to imagine your left hip being really heavy so that you start to feel a stretch down the left side of your body. Take a full round of breath right here. Inhale to tiptoe your fingers back through center. And then exhale over to the left. So same thing, finding that side bend. The right hand can stack on top this time. Imagine your right hip is really heavy. The whole stretch should be happening down the right side of the body now. Another breath here. Inhale to tiptoe your fingers back to center. And then make your way to a tabletop position. So stacking the shoulders over the wrists and hips right over the knees. Take an inhale just in this tabletop. As we exhale, we'll move to puppy dog. So leaving your hips exactly where they are, start to walk your hands forward and lower your chest towards the floor. It might end up touching the floor, it might not. Try to keep the hips stacked over the knees. You should feel a deep opening in the fronts of your shoulders. You can take either your chin to the mat or the forehead to the mat, whatever feels good. We'll take about 3 rounds of breath right here. One more round of breath. Next, inhale, gently walk your hands back underneath the shoulders, finding your tabletop position. And just check that everything's aligned again. So the hands are right under the shoulders, knees under the hips. We'll move into cow and cat from here. So inhale, drop your belly, bring your gaze high, really expand through the front of your body. And then exhale, curl into your cat. Feel the front of your body hollow out and the rounding into it. Inhale, drop your belly, bring your gaze high again, expand through the front. Then exhale, curl into your cat, hollow out through the front of the body. Inhale, come back to a neutral spine, so flatten out the back. Now as we exhale, we're gonna find a side bend. So imagine touching your right ear to your right hip. So it's like a C curve through the side of the body. Inhale, bring your body back through center. Then exhale to the left. So finding that C curve the opposite direction. So contracting the left obliques, finding that stretch on the right. We'll do another round of that. So inhale back to center. Then exhale, side bend to the right. Think that the hip and shoulders move at the same time. Inhale, body comes back to center. And exhale to the left. Final one right here. Bring your body back to center as you inhale. Now we're gonna work on some core stabilization here. So feel equal weight between your hands and your knees. And as we start to move, nothing else will shift. So as you inhale, reach your right arm forward, left leg back without shifting the weight to either side. So this should be a really big challenge for your core here. It's also a challenge not to arch your back and keep the hips square. Take another inhale. Then exhale, hands and knee come back down. Again, no weight shift, so everything stays in the middle the whole time. Inhale, left arm forward, right leg back, keeping that weight equally between your right hand and your left knee. Exhale, put your hand and knee down again. We'll do one more round of that each side. So inhale, right arm forward, left leg back. Exhale, hand and knee come down. And then inhale, left arm forward, right leg back. And exhale, hand and knee come down. From here, tuck your toes. Inhale and hover your knees just 2 inches off the mat. So it's kind of a deep core contraction here. Your low abs should be working. We want to keep that weight as if we were in tabletop position. Take another inhale here. And then exhale, knees come down. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, hover the knees, feel those low abs contract. Exhale, knees come down. One more round, inhale, hover the knees. This time around, as you exhale, find your downward dog. So lift those hips up, feel the heels lengthen towards the mat. Take any movement in this down dog that you want initially. So you might pedal out the feet, you might bend the knees, just kind of becoming aware of your ankles, of your hands and wrists. Take another breath of whatever movement feels good. Now start to find stillness in your downward dog. So lengthen the heels towards the mat. Feel the fronts of your shoulders open so that your belly and rib cage can press closer to the thighs. As you inhale, lift your heels off the mat. As we exhale, we're going to point both heels to the right. So your feet will end up twisting. Your hips will twist slightly. The heels will come to the floor. Your toes should be pointing to the left. This is kind of a nice side bending variation with a little bit of a twist. Take one round of breath right here. Next, inhale, lift your heels up, bring them through the center. And then exhale, heels to the left as you lower them. So just finding this twist and side bend on the other side. One round of breath right here. Inhale, bring your heels back to center as you lift them. And exhale, lower them down to the mat, traditional downward dog. Bring your gaze forward, start to walk your feet to the top of the mat. We'll end hip width distance for ragdoll. So make sure there's a generous bend in those knees. The torso hangs heavy over the thighs. The neck relaxes here. Just let any tension in the neck move away. The spine lengthens. You can sway side to side if that feels good. Maybe shake the head yes and no. Take one more round of breath here. If you took your arms to any position, gently release them on an exhale. Then keeping our legs bent, we roll up through the spine nice and slow, letting your head be the last thing to come up. Once you arrive to standing, take a big shoulder roll up and back, opening through the front of the body. Then step your feet together underneath you, finding standing mountain pose, Tadasana. Feel your arms reach down by your sides, your feet are spreading out on the mat, crown of the head reaches to the ceiling. As you inhale, reach your fingertips high, let your gaze follow. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Take a moment to bow your chin, close your eyes, set an intention for your practice this morning, whatever you'd like to focus your mind on. And we'll seal that intention with a breath. Deep inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Seal the lips, start to find your Ujjayi breath here. So in and out through the nose, finding that slight constriction at the back of the throat, like you're fogging up a mirror with your mouth closed. This might create a sound, but only as a result of the constriction of the breath. Take about 3 rounds of breath right here. Final breath. Now gently blink your eyes open. We'll maintain this Ujjayi as we start to move. On an inhale, reach your fingertips high, let your gaze follow. Right hand grabs the left wrist and exhale, bend over to the right, finding that deep stretch on the left side. Inhale, bring your body back to center, switch your grip. Then exhale, bend over to the left, this time stretching through the right. Inhale, bring the body back through center, fingertips to the ceiling. And then exhale, forward fold over the legs, trying to maintain length in the spine, weight in the balls of your feet. Inhale to a halfway lift, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, plant the palms, step back into high plank. Pausing for a moment here in high plank. Make sure you have a long line from the heels to the shoulders. The core is active and you're pressing the floor away from you with your hands. Inhale to shift your weight forward slightly. As we exhale, we lower in one piece all the way to our belly. So try to keep the elbows hugged into the body. Imagine you're lowering yourself in a plank to the floor. Untuck your toes once you arrive to your belly. We'll inhale to baby cobra. So lift just the top part of your chest off the mat. Hug the elbows into the body and press the tops of your feet into the floor. On an exhale, gently release your chest down. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale, baby cobra, just the chest lifts up. Maybe hover the hands. Exhale, release it down. One more round. Inhale, baby cobra, maybe lift up a little higher. And exhale, release it down. Hands come by the sides of the rib cage. We'll inhale to press through tabletop position, all fours. And then exhale, tuck the toes, send the hips high, downward facing dog. Take 2 rounds of breath here in this down dog. Bring your gaze forward, step your feet to the top of the mat, toes come to touch underneath you. We'll inhale to a halfway lift, lengthen the spine. Then exhale, forward fold over the legs. Moving into our second round of Sun A. Inhale, stand all the way up, fingertips to the ceiling. Right hand grabs that left wrist and exhale over to the right. Find your side bend. Inhale, bring the body back through center, switch your grip. And exhale over to the left. Inhale, back to center, both fingertips to the ceiling. And exhale, forward fold over the legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, plant the palms, step back into high plank again. Making sure you find that length from heels to shoulders. Once you find your high plank, inhale, maybe shift the weight forward. We exhale all the way to our belly again. So lowering in one piece, resist the floor away from you as you go. Once you arrive, untuck the toes. This time we'll reach the hands back behind us, palms on the mat. Zip the legs up behind you so your inner thighs come to touch. We'll inhale into a half locust variation. So lift the chest off the floor. The arms reach back and off the floor as well. Feel a contraction in your upper back as if the shoulder blades are moving towards each other. Now holding this position in the torso, inhale to hover your right leg off the mat. Notice if the knee started to point to the side, see if you can keep that parallel internal rotation. On an exhale, bring your right leg back down. See if you can lift your chest a little higher. Inhale, left leg hovers off the mat. Exhale, leg comes down. Now final round, inhale, hover both legs off the mat and see if you can keep them squeezed together. So your hamstrings and adductors should be really engaged here. Take another inhale. And then exhale, release everything down to the floor, chest, arms, and legs. Bring your hands by the sides of your ribs again. We'll inhale through our tabletop position, all fours. And then exhale, tuck the toes, send the hips high, downward facing dog. Take 2 more rounds of breath right here. Bring your gaze forward, step your feet to the top of the mat, toes come to touch underneath you. We'll inhale to a halfway lift, lengthen the spine, and exhale, forward fold over the legs. Now, if you have a block, grab it. We'll bring it with us on our way up. So just inhale, stand all the way up. And we'll place the block in between our legs. So the feet will come to about hip width distance. I'm gonna stand at an angle so you can see what's going on. The toes will point straight forward. We're squeezing that block between our inner thighs. Now just bringing the hands to the hips, focusing on some standing leg strength. As you inhale, shift your weight to your left leg and hover that right foot off the mat. We're simply holding this for a full round of breath. Feel your legs squeezing the block between them. Take another inhale here. And then exhale, shift your weight back to the middle, both feet down. We inhale, shift to the right foot, hover the left one off the mat. Keep squeezing that block, focus on driving your right leg down into the floor. Another inhale here. Then exhale, left foot comes down. Now this time, inhale, shift your weight to the left foot, hover the right leg. We're going to reach the fingertips to the ceiling. See if you can keep your ribs knitted together. Inhale here. Now as we exhale, without changing anything in the legs, we're hinging forward from the hips and reaching the fingertips back behind us. So finding a flat back position, you really have to squeeze that block and stabilize through that standing leg. Now inhale, start to bring the body back up again without putting your right foot down. Then exhale, put your right foot down. Keep the fingertips high. We'll inhale to shift the weight to the right leg now. Hover the left foot off the mat. Keep squeezing that block. We exhale to hinge forward at the hips, reaching the fingertips back behind you. Keep squeezing that block. Inhale, start to bring the body up again, fingertips high. Exhale, left foot down. We're doing that one more time each side. Inhale, shift your weight to the left leg, hover the right foot. Exhale, hinge forward, reaching the fingertips back behind you. Inhale, bring the body back up again, fingertips high. Exhale, right foot comes down. This is our final round. Inhale, hover the left foot. Exhale, hinge it forward. Inhale, stand it back up again, fingertips high. And exhale, left foot down. Now we're keeping that block between the legs. As we inhale, just bend the legs, sit the hips back, finding this wide chair pose, our Utkatasana. You're gonna notice a deeper inner thigh engagement with that block there. Now, like we just did, but keeping both feet on the floor, on an exhale, start to hinge yourself forward, reaching the fingertips back behind you. So you're still squeezing that block, both feet on the floor. Now, if you want to take this one step further, we can inhale to shift the weight to the balls of the feet. See if you can lift your heels off the mat. So your lower legs have to work a lot here. Keep squeezing that block. The core is strong to keep the spine long. Take another inhale here. Exhale, bring your heels down. We inhale to bring the torso up, fingertips high, stay bent in the legs. Then finally, we get to exhale to our forward fold. Remove your block on the way down. You can just place it to the side. Inhale to a halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Your feet can still be hip width distance. And then we'll exhale to downward dog. So just plant the palms, step your feet back, lifting those hips high. Take one round of breath here in this downward dog. Next inhale, right leg reaches high. As we exhale, step through between your hands, setting up for warrior one. So we bend deep into our right leg, left heel spirals to the mat. We inhale to reach the fingertips high, Virabhadrasana 1. Take a second to check on your hip squareness. So that right hip is pulling back, left hip forward. We're thinking about activating the low abs to lengthen the low back. Take another inhale here. As we exhale, we'll bring the right arm back, left arm forward. So we're twisting towards our front leg, thinking about reaching that crown of the head to the ceiling. Next inhale, we'll exalt. Right hand comes to the left leg. Left fingertips reach up and back. So you should feel a deep stretch in the front of your left hip. Our exhale takes us a little bit deeper. Next inhale, both fingertips reach high again, warrior one. As we exhale, we just plant the palms and find our low lunge. Keep your back leg active. Next inhale is high plank, right foot steps back. And exhale, downward dog, hips go high. Take just one round of breath in this downward dog. Next inhale, left leg reaches to the ceiling. Exhale, step through between your hands, setting up for a warrior one on our second side. So right heel spirals to the floor, bend that left leg, and inhale to reach the fingertips up. You get an extra breath here to check on your hips. Make sure you're bending deep into your right or left leg. And that right leg is really active, so use that quad to help stretch the leg a little longer. Take another inhale here. Exhale, left arm back, right arm forward. So twisting towards our front leg again. Focus on finding length through the spine. Inhale to exalt. Left hand comes to the right leg. Right fingertips reach up and back, finding our little back bend. We exhale to go a little deeper. Inhale, come all the way upright, both fingertips to the ceiling, warrior one. And then exhale, low lunge. Hands frame that foot, back leg stays active. Inhale to high plank, left foot steps back. And exhale, downward dog. Lift those hips up nice and high. Take a full round of breath right here. Bring your gaze forward, step your feet to the top of the mat, toes come to touch underneath you. Inhale is our halfway lift, lengthen the spine, and exhale, forward fold. Now we inhale to our chair pose again, bend those legs, fingertips up. The difference this time is our legs are together, so make sure you're zipping everything up through your midline. Keep the inner thigh activation though that you had when we had the block. Take another inhale here, sit a little deeper in your chair. As you exhale, we hinge forward from the hips, reaching the fingertips back behind us, just like we did earlier. Now keep the legs squeezing together. If you want to take this one step further, you can shift the weight to the balls of your feet and try to lift your heels up again. So this time around, instead of squeezing a block, we have to think about squeezing the insides of our ankles together and squeezing the knees together as well. That's going to be your stability. Keep your spine long. See if you can hold this for one more round of breath. Final inhale. Exhale, heels come down, keep the legs bent. We inhale to our traditional chair, fingertips high again, torso up. Then exhale, finally forward fold over the legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Then exhale, downward dog. Plant your palms, step your feet back, hips lift high. Take one round of breath here in this down dog. Next inhale, right leg reaches to the ceiling. Exhale, step through between the feet again, setting up for our second round of warrior one. So left heel comes to the floor, and we inhale to reach the fingertips high. Take an exhale in this warrior one to bend a little deeper into that front leg. Your inhale can take you to a back bend maybe, finding more stretch. And then exhale, hands come down to frame the foot, finding your low lunge again. This time around, let your back knee come to the floor, untuck your toes. We inhale to Anjaneyasana, so make sure those hips are heavy towards the mat. There's that nice lift of the chest. As we exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, find some length through your spine. We exhale to bring the left elbow to the outside of the right thigh. Now this is a pretty deep twist, so if you're not feeling super twisty yet, you don't need to push this one. You can use that elbow as leverage against the leg to find a little more rotation, making sure you never feel the twist happening in that lumbar spine first. We want it to come from the mid-back. Gaze can be towards the right elbow. You've got another round of breath here. Next inhale, we unwind both fingertips to the ceiling. Then exhale, half split. Hands come down to the floor. Shift your weight towards your left leg and straighten the right leg. A few things to focus on in this half split. We want the back hip to be aligned over the knee, so a vertical thigh and back. The right toes are flexing towards the face, and we're pulling the right hip up and back so that your hips stay square. Focus on reaching your collarbone towards the toes with a long spine. We've got 5 breaths. Final round of breath. Next inhale, start to bend into your right leg. We're finding our lizard pose. So both hands come inside of the right foot. Toe heel that foot outward slightly. You can take this into any variation you want, but if you want a little quad stretch, you can think about bending your left leg and reaching up and back with that right hand to grab the outside of that foot. If that's not available, you can always use a strap to grab your foot. You can also just stay in your lizard with your hands or forearms on the floor. We've got another 5 rounds of breath right here. Final inhale. If you grabbed your foot, gently release it on an exhale. Everyone comes back to their hands. And we'll toe heel that right foot in between our two hands again. Tuck your left toes behind you, activate the leg, kneecap comes off the mat. We inhale to shift our weight forward, lifting the left leg to 90 degrees. So think the lower half of your body is in a warrior three shape. Our fingertips just stay on the floor. See if you can make the weight a little lighter in your fingertips and feel the back of your body broaden. So any arch in the back goes away. Take another inhale here. And then exhale to low lunge. So left leg comes back down behind you, right leg bends. Inhale to high plank, right foot steps back. And exhale, downward dog. Lift the hips up nice and high. Take a full round of breath right here. Next inhale, left leg reaches high. Exhale, step through between your hands, setting up for warrior one. Right heel comes to the floor. We inhale to reach the fingertips up. Our exhale takes our bend a little deeper into that left leg. Make sure the right heel is pressing into the floor. Inhale to maybe find a little arch through the front of the body. And then exhale, hands come down to frame the foot, low lunge. Let your back knee come down and untuck the toes once you arrive. We'll inhale to Anjaneyasana. So fingertips reach to the ceiling, hips are nice and heavy. Feel that nice stretch in the front of the right hip. As we exhale, the hands come to heart center. Inhale to lengthen your spine. And exhale, right elbow to the outside of the left thigh this time. So again, only going to the depth that's comfortable. You don't need to force your twists ever. Keep on finding length through the crown of the head. You've got another round of breath. Next inhale, we unwind back to Anjaneyasana, both fingertips high. And then exhale, half splits again. So hands come down, shift your weight back towards your right leg. Flex the left toes towards your face. Same checks on this side, so a vertical thigh in the back, the left toes are flexed. Pull the left hip up and back so that your hips square off. 5 breaths here. Final round of breath. Next inhale, start to bend into your left leg, finding our lizard. So both hands come inside of that foot. Take any variation you did on the first side, whether it's hands coming down to your forearms or reaching back and grabbing that right foot with your left hand. We have another 5 rounds of breath right here. Two more breaths. Final inhale. Exhale, gently release your foot if you grabbed it. Both hands come to the floor. We toe heel our left foot in between our two hands and then tuck the right toes and activate that leg kneecap off the mat. Inhale, shift your weight forward, lift your right leg to 90 degrees. Again, finding that strength through your standing leg. The hips are square, fingertips are light, and we're keeping the core really active here. Take one more inhale right in this position. And then exhale, low lunge. Bend your left leg, right leg lands behind us. Inhale, high plank, left foot steps back. And exhale, downward dog. Lift the hips up nice and high. You get 3 rounds of breath here this time. So see if you can refocus your Ujjayi breath. Make sure your mind is still clear and focused on your intention. Final round of breath. Next inhale, right leg reaches high. Exhale, step through between your hands, setting up for crescent lunge this time. So the left heel stays off the mat, pressing forward, and we inhale to reach the fingertips up. So it's similar to our warrior one. We have square hips. That right hip is pulling up and back. The left leg is very active. We're just pressing that heel forward. Take another inhale here. As we exhale, we're finding thunderbolt. So bring the chest low towards the right thigh, reach the fingertips back. So it's similar to what we found in our chair pose. Now, keeping the upper body where it is, we're inhaling to airplane. So shift your weight to your right leg, lift your left leg to 90 degrees. So it's similar to where we were when our fingertips were on the mat, but this time, see if you can lift your sternum up and forward, finding that contraction in the upper back like when we were on our belly. Take 3 rounds of breath right here. Now here's a challenge. Next inhale, we're reaching our fingertips towards the floor, but keeping our legs where they are. So eventually your hands will touch down. As we exhale, we're finding standing split. So start to fold your torso over your right leg as the left heel reaches to the ceiling. In a perfect world, we're trying to touch that forehead towards our right shin and walk the hands back in line with the right foot. However far you get, you have 2 more breaths. Next inhale, we're walking our fingertips back forward again, bringing the legs back to 90 degrees. Then exhale, low lunge. So bend your right leg, left leg lands behind us. Inhale to crescent lunge, fingertips reach up again. This time we'll exhale to bring the hands to heart center. Inhale, find length through your spine. Then exhale, left elbow to the outside of the right thigh, finding our prayer twist. So make sure your back leg stays active here. Those inner thighs have to stay really strong. That crown of the head is constantly reaching forward. 1 more round of breath here. Next inhale, we unwind, fingertips to the ceiling again. And then exhale, warrior 2, capital T in those arms. Make sure that left heel comes to the floor, gaze over the right fingertips. Inhale, flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. So left hand comes to the left leg, right fingertips reach up and back, finding that nice side bend. Take another inhale here. Then exhale, extended side angle, right elbow towards the right thigh, left arm sweeps across and forward. We're finding length through the right side as we contract the left side. Take another round of breath here. Next inhale, come up to your warrior 2. Now we're going to straighten that right leg and toe heel the left foot forward just a tiny bit. So we're setting up for our triangle. The right toes are still pointed towards the front of the mat, left toes are pointed towards the side. As we inhale, we'll reach our right fingertips forward and left hip back. Then exhale, tip into that triangle. So the right fingertips reach towards the floor, left towards the ceiling. That right hand can come to the shin or even the thigh for a little extra support. Try to keep that right side of your body as long as possible. Another round of breath right here. On your next inhale, bring the torso upright again. Now as we exhale, we'll just bring our hands to the hips and pivot towards the front. So you're going to let your left foot pivot so that both feet come parallel. Think like pyramid pose shape in the legs, but we're working into revolved triangle now. So feet are hip width distance, both toes point forward. Right hand stays on the hip. We'll inhale to reach the left fingertips high. As you exhale, reach your left hand for the outside of your right foot. Now this is one where a block might become really useful. That can help bring the floor to you a little bit. Ideally, we want our left hand to come to the outside of the right foot on the block or the floor, or you can do it just inside of the foot, whatever feels good. Once you have your hand placed, start to rotate your chest towards the right as you pull your right hip back with your right hand. Now start to reach your right fingertips to the ceiling, finding your full revolved triangle. The key here is keeping that length through the spine and really keep the feet active and pressing into the floor. Take another round of breath right here. Now gently bring your right hand back to your hip, switch your gaze back down towards the floor. We inhale to stand all the way up, left fingertips to the ceiling. As we exhale, we simply step our left foot forward, finding our standing mountain pose, our Tadasana. Take 1 round of breath here. Now moving into our revolved Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana today, we've already done a lot of twisting to prep for it. We'll stand on our left leg first. So first thing, bring your hands to your hips. We inhale to draw the right knee into the chest. Next thing, left hand either comes to the front of the right knee, or if you have the hamstring mobility, you can grab the outside of your right foot. If you have the foot, you'll straighten your leg. If you have the knee, you keep it just like that, so whichever option. From here, start to reach your right fingertips back behind you and twist your chest towards the right. So it's essentially that revolved triangle position, just standing upright. Your gaze can switch towards the right or it can stay forward. Maybe you try to challenge yourself by looking towards your right hand behind you. We have 3 rounds of breath right here. Gently start to bring your gaze back towards the front of the room. Bring your right hand to your hip, then it's keeping your right leg lifted, let go of it with your left hand. So we have to hold it in front of us. Take just one inhale here, and then exhale, right foot comes down, standing mountain pose, Tadasana. Inhale to reach your fingertips high, let your gaze follow, and then exhale, forward fold over the legs. Inhale to a halfway lift, lengthen the spine. Now we'll toe heel our feet to mat width distance from Malasana Yogi Squat. So our heels will come in, toes will point out slightly. On an exhale, bend your legs and drop your hips down. Now this is one where if this becomes really uncomfortable without any support, go ahead and take a block and place it underneath your tailbone. So you're giving yourself a little seat. The hands can come to heart center if you want. The knees or the elbows are pressing outward into the legs so that the knees can open a little more. Whether you're on a block or not, we're focusing on finding length through the spine, crown of the head to the ceiling. Take about 5 rounds of breath right here. Final inhale. As you exhale, release your hands to the floor. Go ahead and straighten your legs for a moment. You can parallel the feet, maybe bend one knee then the other, just loosening up the hips a little bit. When you're ready, toe heel your feet back to touch underneath you, finding your traditional forward fold, our Uttanasana. Inhale to a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, downward dog. Just plant your palms, step your feet back, hips lift nice and high. You have 3 rounds of breath in this downward dog before we go to the other side. Make sure you're still using your Ujjayi breath. Final round of breath here. Next inhale, left leg reaches high. As you exhale, step through between your hands, setting up for crescent lunge. So that right heel presses forward. We inhale to reach the fingertips up. Check on your alignment in your crescent lunge. We're focusing on squareness in the hips. Make sure that right leg is straight and strong. The right heel is pressing forward. Take another inhale here. As we exhale, it's thunderbolt. Chest comes low towards the leg. Fingertips reach back. Spine is long. Think energy through the crown of your head. Now, as you inhale, it's our airplane. So shift your weight to your left leg. Lift that right leg to 90 degrees. Once you establish the leg, start to reach your sternum up and forward, contracting your upper back to find that little arch. Take a couple rounds of breath right here. Now, next inhale, we start to reach the fingertips towards the floor, keeping the legs at 90 degrees. As you exhale, we find our standing split. So torso folds over the legs, right leg reaches to the ceiling, the hips are square. Try to touch your forehead to that left shin. It does not need to happen today. You've got a couple rounds of breath right here. Next inhale, we find our fingertips again, walking them forward slightly. Legs come to 90 degrees. Then exhale, low lunge. Bend your left leg, right leg lands behind us. Keep that back leg active. We're inhaling to our crescent again. So fingertips reach high. As you exhale, it's hands to heart center. Inhale, find length in the spine. Then exhale, right elbow to the outside of the left leg, finding your prayer twist. Keep those legs strong. Find that length through your spine. Another round of breath here. Next inhale, we unwind fingertips to the ceiling. And exhale, warrior two. Finally, right heel comes to the floor. Capital T in the arms. Make sure your shoulders are stacked right over your hips. As you inhale, flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. Left fingertips reach up and back. Find your deep side bend here. Make sure you keep that depth in the left leg. One more inhale here. Then exhale, extended side angle. Left elbow towards the thigh. Right arm sweeps across and forward. See if you can contract your right side and press the ribs downward slightly so the left side can lengthen. Another round of breath right here. Next inhale, come back to warrior two, torso comes upright. Gently straighten your left leg and toe heel your right foot in a little bit. So we're finding that slightly narrower stance for our triangle. As you inhale, reach your left fingertips forward, right hip back. Then exhale, tip into that triangle. Try to find equal length on both sides again. So that contraction of the right side and the pressing down of the ribs creates more length on the left side. You have a couple rounds of breath right here. Try to stay light in that left hand. Next inhale, start to stand all the way up. We bring our hands to our hips and exhale to square off the hips and step that right foot a little more forward. Check that your feet are hip width distance and that your stance isn't quite as wide as your triangle. Now for our revolved triangle, left hand stays on the hip to start. We'll inhale to reach the right fingertips high. As you exhale, reach that right hand for the outside of the left foot. Remember, if you used a block on the first side, this is a great time to do it here. Now keep pulling your left hip up and back. So we want to focus on our squareness. Start to rotate your chest towards the left side. Eventually, maybe extend that left arm to the ceiling. You have to have that constant engagement of the legs here, that length through the spine. You've got a few rounds of breath. One more round of breath. Now bring your left hand back to the hip, shift your gaze down to the floor. We inhale to stand all the way up, right fingertips reach to the ceiling. And then exhale, just step your right foot forward, Tadasana, both legs on the floor. So working to our standing balance on the other side. So right side is our base this time. Feel that leg rooting down into the mat. As you inhale, draw your left knee into your chest, your hands can come to your hips. Now, depending on what you did on the first side, your right hand is either going to come to your left knee or to the outside of your left foot. If you have the foot, go ahead and extend that leg, kicking it into the hand. If you have the knee, feel your knee pressing into the hand and the hand into the knee. From here, we start to reach the left fingertips back behind us, eventually twisting that chest towards the left. Your gaze can go to the side. You might even challenge yourself by trying to look back at that left hand. If you tip over, you can always jump right back in. You've got a few breaths. Now bring your left hand back to your hip. Start to shift your gaze all the way forward again. As we inhale, let go of your left foot or leg without dropping it down. And then exhale, let your left foot come to the floor. Arms release down by the side, standing mountain pose, Tadasana. Inhale, reach your fingertips to the ceiling. And exhale, forward fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the spine. As we exhale, we get to just sit down. So bend the legs, bring the hips down to the floor, and extend the legs out in front of you. Setting up for Paschimottanasana next, our forward fold. Feel the legs squeeze together and flex the feet back towards the face. We'll inhale to reach the fingertips to the ceiling, find length through the spine. And then exhale, start to fold over the legs, reaching past the feet, trying to keep your long spine. You can grab onto your feet, your calves, whatever feels good, constantly using that grip to create more length through the torso. Think about pulling the pinky toes of both feet back towards your face. That'll give you a calf stretch. We've got about 10 rounds of breath right here. Five more breaths. Final inhale. Exhale, gently release your feet, sit all the way up. Now from here, you have two options today. You can work into double pigeon or cow face pose. So I'll demo both of them. For double pigeon, we're gonna bend both legs. The right leg is gonna cross on top of the left leg, trying to align that ankle on top of the knee. If you were to put a hand in front of your legs, you'd feel both shins. So we're trying to stack them. Now with this one, your knee might be like 6 inches in the air. That's totally fine. If that's the case, go ahead and stick a block right underneath that knee to give you a little bit of extra support. So that's your first option. Second option is to slide your right leg all the way across your left leg so that one thigh stacks on the other, one knee is stacked on top as well. So this is going to be a slightly deeper version. If double pigeon isn't super accessible, then stick with double pigeon because this will not feel any easier. So depending on which variation you take, we're going to do a forward fold no matter what. So to go ahead and take an inhale to find some length, then exhale, start to walk yourself forward. Now staying upright might be as far as you get, and that's totally fine. We just want to focus on finding that stretch in the outer hips, the glutes. Make sure you stay supported with your arms, whichever variation you're in. We've got about 10 breaths here. Try to send your breath to the tight spots. Halfway there, you have about 5 more breaths. Final round of breath. On your next inhale, start to bring your body upright nice and slow. And then gently unwind your legs. You can extend them out in front of you for a second if you want. Just shake them out before we move to the other side. When you are ready, we get to shift the other way. So if you took double pigeon, it'll be left leg stacking on top this time, placing that ankle on the right knee, trying to check that one shin is stacked on top of the other. If you took that cow face variation, you go ahead and cross the left leg all the way over the right leg, so the knees stack instead. Once you have your leg set, remember your option to place a block under your knee if you need it. We'll take an inhale to find length. Then exhale, start to fold forward. Remember, folding forward might mean just staying upright. Do whatever feels good. You've got another 10 breaths here. You have about 5 more breaths. Final round of breath. Now gently start to walk yourself back up nice and slow. And then unwind the legs, bringing both legs out in front of you again. And just shake it out, whatever feels good to release through the legs and hips. From here, we're just making our way to our back. So keep both legs extended out in front of you. Activate the legs, flexing those feet, arms reach forward. Start to articulate through the spine, rolling all the way back. So keep your core strong. The heels stay pressed into the mat the entire time. Once you reach the mat, draw both knees into the chest and just give yourself a little hug for a second. You can rock side to side. You can make some circles with your knees, whatever feels good to release the hips. From here, bring your legs to tabletop position, arms to a capital T shape. We're working into a simple supine twist today. If you ever have a variation you'd prefer to do with your legs, feel free. So taking an inhale. Exhale, let both legs go to the left side of your body. So just let them tip across. Try to keep your right shoulder anchored on the mat, and your gaze can shift over to the right as well. If you'd like to take a different shape with your legs, feel free to do that. Otherwise, just keep them here nice and simple today. Try to let gravity do the work for you. So this isn't a posture we want to muscle our way into. We want to try to let everything just sink into the floor. You have about 5 breaths here. Final round of breath. Gently bring your gaze back to center and then your legs back to center. You can just draw your knees into your chest for a second again, finding that neutral spine, maybe rock side to side, whatever feels good to reset. And then we'll start to make our way to the other side. So bring your arms back to your capital T, legs to tabletop, take an inhale. And then exhale, legs go over to the right. Try to keep your left shoulder heavy. If you took a different variation, feel free to take it again. Your gaze might shift over to the left, maybe even close your eyes. You have another 5 or so breaths. Final round of breath. Gently bring your gaze back to center, then bring your knees back to center. And just take a moment here to find a happy baby. So grabbing on the outsides or insides of your feet, bend the legs, draw the knees down and around the rib cage. So you're trying to pull them to the floor. Make sure the tailbone stays on the floor. So if your tailbone pops up when you pull your legs down, just decrease your range of motion a little bit and lengthen the spine. You can rock side to side here. You can straighten one leg then the other. Anything that feels good, any extra movements you want before we close out the practice. Take another round of breath right here. Now gently start to draw the knees back into the chest one final time, wrapping the arms around the shins. You can tuck your chin into your chest as well. Just imagine you're curling into a tiny little ball. Give yourself a good squeeze here, gathering in any extra tension in the body. Take a final inhale. And exhale, Shavasana. Let the legs extend long onto the mat. Let the arms release down by the sides, palms facing up. And let the eyes close. Let go of everything we've done in this hour. Allowing any extra thoughts in the mind to just melt away. Release your breath, letting it find a natural rhythm and path through the body. Allow your eyebrows to relax and your eyes to fall back into the socket. Let the jaw unclench and the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. Work your way down your entire body, imagining everything is becoming heavier and sinking into the floor. And then just enjoy the next few minutes here in Shavasana. Now you can stay in this Shavasana for longer if you'd like. But if you're ready to start waking up, start first by deepening your breath. Maybe start to introduce small movement, wiggling your fingers and toes. Maybe let the head rock side to side. If it feels good, you can reach your arms back behind you into a good morning stretch from your fingers all the way down to your toes. And then as you feel ready, draw your knees into your chest and keeping your eyes closed and moving slowly, just make your way to a seat in whatever way feels good. Once you arrive, you can bring your hands to heart center and allow your chin to bow. Just take a moment to thank yourself for doing something good for your mind and body for an hour out of your morning. The light within me meets, greets, and honors the light within you. Namaste. All right, great work today, you guys. That was a very challenging flow, more so than I thought it would be, actually.